Okay, so in quite a few of my videos you'll see me using something called an Indian club, which looks a little something like this. Came across them a couple of years ago and was really intrigued and purchased them a while back as a way of improving shoulder mobility. I saw a video of an athlete doing some overhead movement like so, and I thought that'd be very helpful for shoulder blade and scapular movement. So I went away and got a couple. I got a 4 kilo and an 8 kilo one. At first I thought that they were quite light, and it was actually a really good choice, because one thing I'd first say about getting these is don't be deceived. Even though they might seem like 4 kilos might seem light, though that's actually pretty heavy in the relative scheme of things. As I've used them more and more, I've found them to be a lot more useful for different things. So I've found that you can use them not just for shoulder, but you can use them for like dynamic lunges and twisting and rotating. In terms of a multi-faceted tool, so a tool that does a lot of different things, 100% would recommend them because of your ability to access different movement patterns in a much more dynamic way, so you can take yourself and swing through the rotation, especially in the thoracic. And thoracic rotation is something that we need to pay a lot more attention to. It's very often neglected, but it's very important. Even nothing is more important in the body, but we usually look at flexion extension of the thoracic. It needs to rotate just as much. So there are some drawbacks. The Indian clubs are very good, but like anything, they can have the pros and cons. The first one being is that they can be potentially very dangerous. Don't forget, it's a metal club in your hand, so you need a lot of space. Make sure there's no people around you. If you're in a commercial gym, I would not recommend using one, just because you might know what you're doing, but you don't know what other people will be thinking if they're walking past you or in front of you. They can be quite dangerous. So if you are going to use them, make sure you have space and make sure it's an area where you know everybody and nobody can get in your way. Second thing is price. At the moment, in this current time, which is May 2020, a lot of the retailers have dramatically increased the price, which is unfortunate. So that is a drawback. The ones I've got cost £20. The 8 kilo one's £20. So if it's not around that ballpark figure, then just be wary that they might have increased in prices. Second thing is, next thing as well is coordination for clients. If you've got a client who is new to training, is in the first phase of training with you, 3 months with you, I wouldn't recommend this tool, because it requires a lot of stability, a lot of mobility, a lot of coordination, and if somebody starts doing it and they don't have that, they could potentially injure themselves, because they're going into a range that they don't have very quickly. So just like anything, use your common sense and make sure it doesn't become the thing that you do. It's just one of the things that you can do. My best recommendation is just to get one, probably the lighter ones, play around with yourself, and you can always invest in another one further down the line. But in terms of shoulder, elbow and neck health and getting that rotational capability, they're an absolutely awesome tool, which I really would recommend.